All right, YouTube. Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast. We're talking Auburn football. Go ahead and like the video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle. So up at the podium, you have Seth Williams, who is a all but an all SEC wide receiver coming into the 2020 season. He's listed as one of the top 5 receivers returning in the for this season. And a lot of times when you get these guys on the podium, the sports writers, they ask questions really trying to probe these guys, really trying to catch these guys off guard to give a little intel about the Auburn program. So there's a lot of storylines with this. Okay, of course, you got Chad Morris, the new offensive coordinator, and you also have what people perceive as a different offense coming into the 2020 season. So some of the questions were geared in that regard, because one of the questions was like, okay, so what are some of the new guys doing? What is the general perception of this particular offense? Now, to start off, you know, Seth Williams, if you really look at him on this particular interview, he's noticeably lost some weight. He seems to be a lot slimmer. He even documented that he lost about 13 pounds, which will make him a little bit more agile coming into this particular season, which would bode well for him. And I think this will also give him the opportunity to diversify and elevate his game to the next level. So we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But the next question that they talked about was Marco DeMio. They asked him, well, what do you think about Marco DeMio? Marco DeMio is the transfer cornerback from the state of Texas. And if you think about the Auburn secondary, there needed to be some type of supplement, considering that Noah Igbenogany is no longer there. Lost a couple of other guys like Javaris Davis. So the question about that really kind of, you know, it's just funny how the sports writers kind of deflected and tried to get a little bit of intel on that. He said that Marco DeMio is doing really well. He is, you know, still adapting to the defense and will probably be a contributor this year. Then they talked about somewhat of the new guys that have come on. He didn't mention any names, but he mentioned the fact that there are going to be some contributors from the 2019 and the 2020 class receiver-wise that will really benefit from the Chad Morris offense, which I think is going to be great. Now, one thing I did notice about Seth Williams is the fact that even though the sports writers were trying to probe him, trying to get him to kind of sort of talk about Chad Morris's contribution as far as the offense goes, he kept saying, you know what, you're just going to have to wait till we hit the field to see what we're going to do. And a lot of that alludes to the fact that Auburn has a very stable running back room. They also have a nice stable of running wide receivers. And it's perceived that Auburn will have a different look as far as offensive linemen go, which will really make for a good storyline, especially going into the Kentucky game, because although ESPN has Auburn as an 84.9% favorite to win this game, if you look at some of the media outlets, it's a lot of media outlets that think Kentucky could actually beat Auburn because of the offensive linemen that they have returning and because of some of the skill sets that are perceived to come back on the offense. And their defense really wasn't that bad, but I just think Auburn, from a recruiting standpoint, has done a better job as far as recruiting, as far as depth goes, and should push the envelope to beat Kentucky pretty sizably. We're going to talk about that more as the September the 26th season opener comes around. Auburn plays that game at 12 o'clock Eastern time, 11 a.m. Central time. A lot of folks think that Auburn doesn't play well, but Auburn has a winning record during those times. But I think some of the losses that they have, including the loss to Tennessee, is one. Tennessee back in 2018 is one that kind of sticks out as to why people think that Auburn could be caught slipping in this particular game. So what you can look forward to, in my opinion, with Seth Williams, he's lost a little weight. He's also under a more experienced offensive coordinator that will give him the opportunity to diversify his route running. I think with the route tree, you talk about the intermediate routes. I think you're going to see a different form of Seth Williams teamed up with the speedster Anthony Schwartz. They are basically the leaders on this particular team right now, because he even talked about that he's gotten faster. But of course, he ain't going to be as fast as Anthony Schwartz. But it showed that these guys are very confident in what they can do coming into this 2020 season. Let me know what you think about Seth Williams. Lost some weight, is really, in tune with making sure that he takes care of his body going into the season, because he talked about that in this interview as well. Go ahead and leave your comments, like the video, subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn, and as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.